when I did Get Out of My Yard, the first instrumental record, it was really a challenge to myself to see if I could make an instrumental record that I would want to listen to. Because I never really liked guitar instrumental music. I grew up as a Beatles fan and listening to Elton John. I always liked vocal music. And of course I loved heavier rock stuff, but the bands that I was into were mostly vocal bands. I was into Van Halen and Gary Moore and Rush and bands that had singers. And so my schematic for how a heavy rock song should go would be, a little musical intro, the singer comes in, and then the guitar player gets this, solo in the middle, and the singer comes back in. And to have a whole song of guitar, it was just really different than what I was used to, what I grew up with. And so for that first record, I kind of took when I would hear a Rush song that had a great instrumental section. For example, the tune Circumstances. I thought that was a really cool line. Of course, that was followed by vocals, but I thought, what if I took that and made a whole song out of it? And actually, the opening track, Hurry Up. Now, Hurry Up, if you think about it, means Rush. And I just kind of did my own version of that riff and went... and sort of did, an expanded version of Circumstances. And I tried to do that for all my favorite things. Not necessarily, that was really from a specific song, but just, what would happen if I took, my favorite Van Halen riff and turned it into a whole thing. So it wasn't really an album about melody. It was more riffs, because that was a lot of the parts of my favorite songs I grew up with were more riff-oriented than like the guitar playing a melody. The melodic players were bands like Boston that would have, and that wasn't, as a guitar player, that wasn't what I was into. I was into the riff, or like the shreddy solo. That was more the Van Halen sort of thing. So that record was about taking those elements of what I heard with the vocal bands and just taking the guitar parts and kind of expanding on them. It wasn't necessarily different, it was more. It was taking something that I had done, but making it longer. And in order to make it longer, you've got to figure out how to make it interesting and not just, repeating the same thing over and over again. So it was challenging compositionally, and it was really the only time I did that. After that record, going into the other instrumental records, I started to use more melody, which kind of makes sense. If you listen, the great instrumentalists, if you listen to Joe Satriani, he's a master of melody. And actually, after I did that record, I went on tour with Joe doing the G4, or G3, I should say, the G3 tour. And that gave me a chance to really see how a melodic instrumental guitar player works. And that was inspiring, seeing how the audience reacted to it and going, hey, this might be okay for someone besides the singer to do the melody. And I hadn't really considered that an option before. I was really anti-melody on guitar. I was like, it should be a riff or it should be a solo. And so after touring with Joe, that kind of opened up, maybe it's okay for the guitar to do a melody. That's not off limits anymore.